In today's video, guys, I'm going to show you step by step how I find the trade setups that I personally take in my Forex trading journey. Let's get started. All right, guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be going through every component to actually how I find and end up placing a trade, what my entries look like, what the exits look like, and how I find the trades that I'm taking. So the first thing I want to say here is I use a couple different select tools and features. So I love using tradingview.com. I find this to be one of the best features or tools out there. Tradingview.com, it's totally free. I do have the full version though, it's amazing. And TradingView is where I'm going to be placing my trades as well as where I'm going to be doing my charting. So my broker actually integrates, when you click into the trading panel on TradingView, you have all these different brokers you can integrate. I use 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗏, that's just my personal preference. In the United States, we are very limited on regulated brokers to choose from. If you're in some other parts of the world, you might have better options, etc. Anyways, this is where I'm placing my trades and where I do my markups. But before I jump into charts, before I jump into technical analysis, and I sell the market here and I buy the market here and I take profit here, before I jump into all of that, I want to show you guys where I genuinely start every single one of my trades. In my trading journey, I have found that software can make the whole process so much easier, because if you have software tools to scan the market for you, it's easier to find what you're looking for and not miss opportunities that are setting up out there. So I've used software my entire trading career because I am a computer scientist by profession. That's what I went to school for. I'm a programmer. And so I've always loved that sort of stuff, and bringing that to the markets has been very cool. So what we're looking at here is what our team behind the scenes at A1 Trading has been building. This is the 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗏. And the 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗏 basically takes a long list of assets that we focus on. You've got a lot of the different major and minor currency crosses. You also have commodities, etc. And it crosses them all, and then it looks for several metrics that you can see overlaid across the top of the screen. There are going to be a lot of terms here, and I'm going to break them down because, again, I'm going the full distance with you guys on this video. I'm going to show you what I look for in a trade. So the first category is going to be the COT data. The commitment of traders data is going to tell us what banks and institutions out there, what their positions are. It's a report that has to go out each week, and it's very, very valuable data that we personally look for when placing trades. But here's the thing. As a trader, I don't look at one of these things. I try to look at all of them and make a conglomerate decision. And that's exactly what this software has automated for us here at A1 Trading. So when I look at the COT data, what we're looking for is what institutional positions they're like. Are they shorting the dollar? Are they shorting the yen? Are they buying the euro, right? All those questions can be answered by looking at that and deriving the data from the commitment of traders data, which is pulled in automatically by our software each week. The next category is retail sentiment. And we get this data and we take a look at it and we say, okay, well, what is the crowd doing on a currency? If you know that the crowd tends to lose money and the crowd is super short on an asset, okay, that's a risky thing to be shorting yourself. Maybe you want to be more on the long side, etc., etc. Seasonality is basically looking out throughout history at a particular asset class during a subsection of the year, for example, a week of the year, a month of the year, a quarter of the year, and seeing if there's any recognizable patterns. Again, as traders, what we're doing here is I'm combining all of these different metrics to build a bias for direction trading. I use technicals to time my entries and exits. I use the 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗏, economic data, and what we're looking at here, sentiment data, to make decisions on direction. So I'll get to that in a second. But the next category is going to be the trend reading. How strong is the market trending on the daily time frame is specifically what we're looking at. That's a very important metric. Just how well is it trending, right? Is it trending the way we want to do it? Because that's generally going to be an impactful thing to our trading. If something is trending up, we don't want to be necessarily as biased towards short. Then we get into the economic figures. And remember, I mentioned fundamentals play a huge part in my trading. This is just a summarized view of some of the main figures that come out for each major economy. GDP growth, how well is the economy growing? Inflation, what is the value of their currency doing for buying power in that country? Is it shrinking or rising? Unemployment data, how well is the jobs market in the US, in the European area, in the UK? What is the interest rate divergence between the two currency crosses you're looking at? All of these, you guys, build bias. And that's why we account for each one of them in our software tool, the 𝗬𝗧𝗩𝗜. So then what we have is we have the score chart summary page. And this entire page will tell me generally what assets I am personally going to be looking to sell, which we can see here, Aussie Swiss, Pound Swiss, Euro Dollar, NZD Swiss, and then the strongest being GBP USD. What that means is that in the score category, all of the summaries, or at least majority of them, are printing red and giving us a sell signal overall. Conversely, we could take a look at the top where we see buy signals overall. So that's the summary page, and this is like the top-down view. This is where I start my day to find my trades. Now, if there is something specifically that I'd like to look at, for example, let's look at the Euro USD. If I'm looking at the Euro Dollar specifically, I can narrow in on the software and take a look at the Euro Dollar, and we can see the broken down categories for each, and then the explanations. Remember, we mentioned bank information or institutional positionings from the COT data, right? We can see what banks are doing, hedge funds, and major investment groups. What are they doing on average? And we can see that the dollar at the time of recording this is 86% long, essentially, from positions open on the futures market. That's a massive bias towards smart money buying the dollar and being long on the dollar. And that gives us a bias towards shorting the euro dollar, right? If we're looking at EU and we're saying, well, the dollar is very bullish from institutional perspective, we might want to short the counter currency or the euro. So something to think about there. So we're combining several metrics to build a bias. That's the first thing. And remember, we haven't even gotten to the chart yet. Again, so many people, the first thing they want to do is they want to fire from the hip. They want to jump in and they want to say, oh, well, the chart is, we're looking at euro dollar and it's doing this and it's that, and I'm going to sell here or buy here. And that's all fine. I love technical analysis myself, but to me, it's limited because I like to have other factors. What are the real world factors driving this market, and what's the likely direction going to be? That's where the 𝗬𝗧𝗩𝗜 comes in. So again, I use the score chart summary to get an overall view and then narrow in my vision if I want to look at specific metrics. In this case, you can see that the crowd, when we're looking at euro dollar, is 62% long. So we might be more biased towards, in this category, selling. That's why we get a -1 in that category. And then overall, again, we get a score, and that gives us our metric of a sell bias on the euro dollar. So again, I use a market scanner. You don't have to do this, and there are free variations or pieces like this, but this is the only place where you're gonna get all of this stuff in one simplified view built in by our software team here at A1 Trading. And so once I have this bias, the next step then becomes, what do you do with it? Now that you have a sell bias on euro dollar, does that just mean I'm gonna go sell? No. This is how I use the 𝗬𝗧𝗩𝗜. The 𝗬𝗬𝗓𝗓 helps me with metrics and then ultimately gives me a recommendation on direction, but it doesn't do the whole trading process for me. The other half of this is where I jump into my chart and I actually start doing my analysis. Now, if you know my style of trading from just a purely technical, again, the fun stuff, the people that are on YouTube generally tend towards wanting to see, you know, what's the support and resistance levels that you use? What Fibonacci retracements? That's the stuff that's a little bit more fun to look at, per se. It plays actually a minor role in my actual trading. I've been doing this for a very long time. For me, the stuff that I showed you prior to the chart, the 𝗬𝗬𝗓𝗓 material, is way more valuable than the chart itself. And the reason I say that is because, again, those are real world factors, GDP growth, you know, looking at those things, fundamentals and sentiment play a much bigger component in direction, but then it's time to actually do the technicals where I look to enter and exit the positions. Now, here's how I tend to trade. Okay, so let's say we have a short bias on the euro dollar. Again, the 𝗬𝗬𝗓𝗏 was hinting towards sell bias. So let's say that I want to sell the euro dollar. How am I going to approach this? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify major spots on the chart of resistance. I'm not even going to pay attention to support. Why? Because I have a sell bias. So I'm only looking for areas to sell. I don't care about buying opportunities, right? So I'm not looking at the euro dollar and saying, oh, I'm going to buy it if it comes down here. No, I have a sell bias on this thing. I am a trend follower. I am looking for momentum to continue, and I have a bias to the sell side. So what am I looking for? Only sells. I'm not looking for buys. I'm not looking for, you know, anything else. I'm looking for selling opportunities. And in which case, I can start marking up my chart for major spots in the chart where sellers could take over the chart. We have a nice overall downward trend, and we have a couple levels that we can pick out here. Again, higher time frames, looking at the daily chart, this thing trending very well. I'm a swing trader, so the trades that I'm looking to take are not for the next 24 hours per se. They are for, you know, maybe the next 24 to several weeks. You know, it just depends what's going on in the market. Some of my best trades will last 2 weeks. Some of my decent trades will last a day or two. Just depends what's happening in the markets. But then once we've identified the, let's say like the 4-hour chart, 4-hour and 1 hour is generally where I'm trading the most actively. Let's say price is coming up into an area like this. I may look to sell the Euro USD at resistance. But knowing that even though I may have a sell bias, market timing is very difficult. I may actually be willing to try more than once to take a Euro USD sell. Let's say I also really like this 1.065 level in case I'm incorrect about my initial trade. Let's say I take a trade here, markets come up to my level and shoot past it and I get stopped out. Newer traders might feel like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? The whole market went against me, like everything's going wrong. Like to me, stopping out is just, it's part of the process. Like you're gonna stop out. There's no avoiding it. Sometimes you're just gonna have a trade and it looks good on paper and it just does not go well. But this is why I trade with very, very small position sizes. And that's one of the very key components to my trading journey is I trade with tiny lot sizes relative to the trading account that I'm on. Why do I do that? Because then it allows me to risk small and moderate drawdowns that are inevitable to traders. So for example, let's say I take this trade, it doesn't work out, but then I get a second entry or I stop out and I re-enter the trade idea here at resistance. And let's say that this level, for whatever reason, has more strength from the sellers and we ultimately roll over. I don't have to win all the time. In fact, my win rate tends to be around 40%, 45% historically. That's really, really all that I need because my winners can tend to outweigh the losses. And that's what really matters. In fact, taking a look at that with myfxbook.com, you can see here's the actual numbers. So 43% of my trades have been winning, whereas 57% of them have been losing. And yet we've still been able to generate a nice profit over time in this trading account. So the thing is, it's not about winning all the time. It's about catching wins that matter, right? Letting trades run when they present themselves. So back to our Euro USD idea. Let's say that I'm incorrect about the first one, but then correct about the second one. That's all that matters, right? We can be wrong as long as when we're correct, it's outweighing when we're wrong. Admitting when you're wrong very quickly in trading is like the best thing ever for me in my personal journey. That changed everything. It was just be very quick to admit when you're wrong and very stubborn when you are right and you're holding on to a winner. Let it become a big winner. That's just my style and my approach, how I personally like to look at the charts. So yeah, there you go. So Euro USD, definitely one. That would be in this current environment, one that's on my watch list, right? Again, we've used the market scanner. We spotted it from the score chart summary, which also comes with some nice heat map features and stuff like that. So yeah. By the way, you guys, if you would like access to the Edge Finder, if this is something that would be helpful to you, if you want to try out the tool for yourself, take advantage of our summer sale that we're doing right now. There's a link down below in the description. You get access to the tool for a super discounted price. In fact, all the information will be down below in the description. And if you have any questions, we'll pin a comment to send a DM to one of our team members here at A1 Trading. Like I said, we've got people behind the scenes that are working on this tool and a couple people that are helping out people who are trying out the software and figuring it out, have questions for us. Please feel free to send a message to one of our team members. The pinned comment section down below will have contact info for one of our team members. So there you go. So that's pretty much my full process on how I find my trades. Once I'm into a trade, like I said, I tend to let winners run. In fact, I have a whole video on trailing stops, and that's generally how I approach trading. So when I take a position, I actually don't look to take profit. In fact, I look to stop out quickly if I'm wrong, but if I can get into a trade that works, I will trail that stop loss for as long as I possibly can. And basically it's using market structure. I have a whole playlist of trading videos that you can check out if you want to. We'll pop that up on the screen now. That would be helpful to you. And we also have a video specifically on how to how I personally trail stops, how I do that. You can check out that. Maybe we'll pop up that on the screen as well for you if you would like to click into that video and check it out for yourself. We appreciate you watching the video. Thanks so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.